Hey guys, plop 'em up here. Just wanting to talk about a couple of topics going on within the Helldivers community. There are a few things that I've been reading up on and kind of watching other videos and stuff and seeing what's going on out there, and just wanted to just go over them and my own personal opinions and see if I have my own personal ideas of things that might fix it, or hopefully that might be implemented to fix it. One of the first ones that I wanted to talk about was the farmers and the situation with farming. As we know, the idea is to liberate planets by completing whatever objectives the map has, and with a variety of the aliens or robot infestations. When you start a mission and you fail the mission, it counts against Super Earth, right? Obviously the opposite of that is if you complete the mission, it helps Super Earth and its progression. You can also check the objective itself, which you can see is from when you scroll over each planet, essentially. Basic idea of what the game's like. What they're doing is essentially they are playing the game and they are picking the easiest objective, the most repeatable objective that allows them to get the most material, XP, goals towards super credits, whatever the case is, and wrap it up as fast as possible instead of helping the actual overarching mission that we are given as, super citizens, right? What is essentially happening is that instead of progressing, we are just having a large wave of people. Instead of helping, they're just worrying about getting as much of the gear and items and stuff as they can, which is understandable because the game is a little slow at giving you what you need. But even with that, I do think that part of the problem is less so the farmers and the progression itself. It does take a long time to get stuff, and for a lot of people, and sometimes even me, depending on the game, it requires me to focus on not the objective like they're doing and prioritize just getting the stuff. I think that for this topic specifically, if the developers were to implement a faster way to earn credits or a better way to earn the credits, and I'm not talking about super credits, sorry, I mean more like the medals is what I meant. That would mitigate the farmers and focus more on the objective itself. I don't think they have to speed up the objective, how we level, how we complete them and stuff. I think the way they have it set up makes sense. It gives everyone motivated to keep playing those specific missions, and you don't have to. You can go play the other ones that don't help the overall objective. Essentially, maybe offering more rewards and more medal-based incentives per objective completing missions. Overall, when it comes to the farmers, I think it's like a double-edged sword. You can understand why people do it, but it is a pain in the butt because of the fact that it is slowing down the main objective. I think the developers just need to do a little tweaking, and I think that's something that can definitely be corrected. The best builds and weapons, specifically more so what gun you should pair with what side, what explosive to use, what armor, weapons, armor and gear to use. I've also been seeing a lot of posts and videos about, and I kind of feel like that's, I get it in a content way. You can keep pumping out content saying stuff like that, but I feel like with Helldivers 2, it's not really that type of game. I think it really should be that when you play it, I'm not saying don't go against something you enjoy. So if that's how you enjoy a game, you always need to know, all the power to you. But just as an objective, from the way I see it, is the game really wants you to just experience what it has to offer and to figure it out essentially yourself and be like, oh, you know what? I'm going against the automatons. I'm going to use, for example, with the video in the background, I like using the BR, the battle rifle. I think it has a very good effect. It can take a lot of shots to kill him, but if you land headshots, you can take him down most enemies in 1 to 2 shots, even some of the heavier types, just not the super heavy one. I really think that with this game, if you haven't got it yet, if you've been playing it but haven't played much, really just avoid that and just figure it out. You're going to have a much better time, I believe. I could be wrong, and if you think I'm wrong, definitely leave it in the comments and be like, no, I like the fact that people like those builds, or you should make a video like that or something. Then I'll look into it, but I really do believe that's something that this game doesn't need, and that you can really just figure it out yourself in a fun and organic way. The other topic that I wanted to talk about as well is the idea of multiplayer within this game. I can kind of see how it could work, especially being that, like, with the game, there is this weighty simulation style, like, moment to moment gameplay when it comes to the way your character feels, the guns feel, and it could be fun, but with their objective to combat a certain level of toxicity that I think they have successfully done, but there is a topic I'm going to talk about a little later in the video in relation to toxicity, then I think that competitive game, like mode, like a multiplayer competitive game mode, would be a detriment to this game, especially being that this game's whole overarching, like, pretty much point is to essentially work together and take care of whatever the threats to Super Earth are and whatever planets to liberate. And I really do think that would pull away from that too much. I know that there's a lot of streamers or, competitive content creators that they probably are avoiding this game because they'd rather have it play a multiplayer game, but I don't think this is one of those games that really need it. And I also know, talking about this subject, that, like, one of the main heads at Arrowhead Games has said that they're never going to do a multiplayer. And I think that's really smart and just kind of setting the bar right there. But I still see the conversation come up, and I just don't think the game needs it, and I don't think it should be a focus that they go into. Maybe if, like, 5 years down the line, the game somehow is dying out and they're barely holding on to a player base, so they decide to maybe try something new and do some temporary multiplayer mode to bring players in. But besides that, I don't think, like, it should be a focus at all. And there's plenty of room for them to add a lot of co-op / single player content first. So you definitely know that's their main objective, and they're not going to focus on the multiplayer at all. So I just think, it's good that they're not going to do it, and I don't think it should be in the game. Now, I also want to talk about this weird subject. I made a short about it, and I'll link it to this video, but it's the toxicity, specifically the fact that there's this growing community within this game that they want to add this level of pretty much being as toxic as possible and making your experience within the game toxic. And I don't understand it. Like, I know from, like, playing multiplayer games my whole life that there's always those people that like to run around and kill their teammates and, cause chaos and stuff. And I understand that there's a group of people like that. There's always going to be people like that. The good thing is that it definitely seems like the overarching community is a bit of like an outcry against this, and that's good to see. And even I'm against it, and I can't believe it's even a topic, that this game is so focused on not being toxic as possible, and somehow there is still a group that's like, you know what, I'm gonna make this toxic. I'm gonna make sure other people dislike playing this game for my enjoyment. And I don't understand that. I don't think I ever will. I'm just not a toxic person. Sometimes I'm a little too nice, but yeah. So for that subject, I really think that's unfortunate that there's a group like that building. And I do believe that as a community, whether it's this small channel that's growing, or just within Reddit, or just the people playing too, we can really come together and combat that Helldivers group that's wanting to build toxicity within the game. I think we can be successful, and hopefully they have a way to kick players. I don't know if there is, because I haven't had to, but if there isn't yet, then if that group keeps growing, the developers hopefully, which will add like a way to do so, as long as it's like a voting system. I don't think you should just have one person be able to be like, oh, you're out, and then kick, because then that's going to be another way they can be toxic. So it definitely has to have like a voting system. But the way these developers are, they're very on top of it. I do believe if they need to, they will make sure that this game implements a way to like combat that toxicity. And then the last subject I was gonna just talk about is Arrowhead Games in general. If you've been following them since they've released this game, they really are, I feel, something special within this industry. I don't have knowledge within playing live service games that I have seen a constant and consistent response, acknowledgement, and fixes being implemented in the time frame that they're doing, even in games where their servers are a problem, and it could take months before they figure it out. For some live service games, if there's too many players and stuff like that, and it took them a week or two, 2.5 weeks to fix that as an issue. And yeah, there's still some instability and stuff, but like that's with all like large online games. Sometimes there's just technical issues with their servers, and you know, they have limitations to what they can do, but they've really done a lot. And I feel like this developer is probably one of my new favorites going forward. Especially, I mean, we'll see how they handle the game further, but like I have the utmost confidence in them to keep releasing fixes, making adjustments for the community. Like they're just like, there's something different, you know, especially in an industry where I feel like a lot of companies are going away from being supportive or helpful to their communities, and instead are more like, oh, well, okay, we made our money. Let's try to make more money out of you. And then once we feel like it's drying up, bye. New gameplay features, content in general. This one, I think like they will definitely be more on the side of, okay, we've made a ton of money, we have a ton of success. Now let's really see what we can do for that growing and like positive community. And I don't know, I'm just really positive with them, and I feel very positive about them. And it's like, this is one of the first times in a long time where I just feel like playing their game, not just because I love it so much, because I genuinely do. This is probably one of my favorite games right now, but I also feel like just with how they have handled everything, it also makes me want to play it more. Like, it's almost like I want to support it more. It makes me want to make more videos about them and their in this game. And I feel like the community probably feels the same way, because there's been like an insane amount of like, I see like YouTube videos every day, there's clips being cut, there's like great moments that are being shown, and also just showing how organically awesome the game is. So those pretty much are the main subjects I wanted to talk about. They're things I'm mostly seeing right now in the community. So anyway, just want to say, like always, thank you for watching. If you've made it to the whole video, or if not, even if you watched a minute or two, you know, it still makes a difference. How it's like affecting it both positively and negatively. It's still a positive to me. I'm a young channel, I'm growing, so I'm not really expecting a ton from viewership and stuff, but I am trying to be better, grow better, communicate better. I have a video I did recently. It was my top 5 Game Pass games of the year, and even though I do like the video and I am like happy with what I did, listening back on myself, I said so many times that if I recommended you do a drinking game out of it, you might get really wasted. So don't do that. But yeah. So anyway, thanks again. Till next time.